Another approach for detection, similar, it's kind of a style of host-based intrusion detection, is that instead of instrumenting the web server to monitor the requests, we could instead do our observation at a different level on the host. We could instrument the kernel and look at the system calls that are made by the web server. Okay, so anytime any program is accessing a file or starting a program, it does that by making a system call to the operating system. And we could modify our operating system to monitor those system calls and use that to infer, oh, I see the web server is accessing this file, or oh, I see it's starting that program. And then we could do our monitoring on those accesses. Okay, so then we could look for the same kinds of patterns, but now at the system call level. Okay, so again, this would be host-based. It would be sitting on the web server. And pros and cons, similar to host-based intrusion detection, may eliminate some kinds of evasion attacks based on file name trickery, potentially, depending on exactly how you do the details. Like for instance, if instead of monitoring the file name, we monitor which file was accessed, then we don't have to worry about evasion attacks that try to use a funky way of encoding the file name because we're seeing which file was accessed. A downside is because this is happening at a later stage, we might not detect unsuccessful attacks. If there's an unsuccessful attempt to attack the web server by trying to download /etc password, but the web server isn't vulnerable, so that request doesn't actually trick it into accessing the password file, then there'll be no system call to access the password file, and our IDS won't be aware, won't raise any alert, and so we'll be unaware that our system is under attack. Explain again how this avoids issues with file name tricks. It depends how you do this. If you look at the parameters to the system call, it might not help avoid the file name trickery. But you could imagine a version of this where the file system is instrumented, and you instrument the file system, and you tell it, if anyone accesses this one file, I want to know that fact. Okay, and you tell the file system, like, any attempt to access this password file, I want to know about that. And so now that's not specified in terms of the string file name. It's accessed it's specified in terms of like that block on the disk, for instance. Okay, so now if someone accesses the password file by /etc/./etc/password, textually it might look different, but it leads to the same file on disk, and the file system could then raise the alert for us. And so then those evasion attacks may no longer be successful, basically because we'd be doing the alerting on the results of the parsing that the file system does. So we don't have to worry about evasion attacks that are exploiting surprising properties of how that parsing is done. Okay, so these are 4 different approaches to detection. I will continue on Friday by showing you a little bit more about approaches to detection, and we'll talk about the trade-offs between these and how they relate to commercially available products. For instance, if you use antivirus software is another word for host-based intrusion detection. So on Friday, I'll tell you a little bit about how the deployed antivirus systems work and what techniques are they using.